Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, Lauren here with another great business to discuss on this episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. Today's guest is Nadir, and he's selling his Amazon FBA business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. So welcome to the show, Nadir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Lauren. How about yourself?
Yeah, wonderful. I'm really excited to have you on the show. I can't wait to hear more about your business. But before we dive in, I'm going to go over a brief summary of the business. This is an Amazon FBA business created in January 2020 in the home and occasions and gifts niches. The average monthly revenue for the business is $75,128, and it makes an average of $16,837 per month in net profit. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 58191 to learn more about the business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. The assets included in the sale are an Amazon Central Seller account with 23 SKUs, a primary domain and all site content and files, as well as a secondary domain and all site content and files, employee contracts, supplier relationships, a Twitter social media account, 2 UK trademarks, an email list, and a B2B contacts spreadsheet. Please note that inventory is not normally included in the list price, but further details can be provided to verified buyers. So now that I've given a general overview of the business, let's hear from the seller. Nadir, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Yeah, sure. In all honesty, this is my first online business. Although I've got a background in software, that's what I did at university. I only actually dabbled into this, a couple of years, but this is the first one.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm sure it's been quite an adventure so far. What gave you the idea to start this business in particular?
I was doing a bit of research online, something I could do kind of alongside a full-time job. And I guess it was between this, Shopify, social media, kind of what would I go into? And I think Amazon kind of made more sense because a lot of the time-consuming tasks like logistics and deliveries to individual customers, they're actually done for you, even a lot of the marketing, right? So I did a bit of research, did some thorough research, and kind of fell into this product and category of products that we're selling today.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazon does make it a lot easier for the sellers. How did you narrow down what sort of products you wanted to sell?
Well, I was kind of doing a generic search, using a few different parameters that you learn from just, researching online. And I stumbled across these number of different products that I really liked. And I kind of liked it myself. And because I had a personal interest, I thought, I don't know, maybe I just ran with that, and I kind of looked into it in a bit more detail, bought the product, kind of liked it, saw what I could do to improve it, and then kind of launched it, added new variations, scaled it a bit more, and here we are today.
Yeah, wonderful. You've certainly had a lot of success with this business. What is the reason that you're selling it now?
Well, I think we've grown the business to a point where it could scale further by expanding it into different marketplaces, but ultimately, you'd have to invest a bit more time than what I can dedicate right now. So I think we've got it to the point where it's ready to sell to a person who could take it on board and make it exponentially grow by investing a bit more time that I don't really have the time to do right now with a full-time job and a small family.
Yeah, certainly. That's a great point. It certainly sounds like the business is at a very exciting junction there. Is there anything that you learned from this business that you would apply to any future sites or businesses that you work on?
Oh yeah, tons. I guess, marketing and understanding kind of consumer audiences and different kind of markets that you market to, forecasting, finance. There's so many different things. I think that's the really cool thing about starting a small online business is like you dabble in everything, right? So you go into finance, you do a bit of marketing, you do some logistics, you do customer service, you'll do a bit of PPC and stuff like that. You kind of understand exactly what an expert would need to do. So you can then end up delegating the task if you don't have the time to do it yourself, which is great. And that's what the exciting part is when you start it from the beginning and get it from the ground up and it really starts running. And then you start kind of, when it gets a bit big and it gets a bit out of control, you can delegate the tasks to different people and you start kind of being a manager. You don't get involved in the nitty gritty as much as you kind of do at the start, which is what I kind of miss, I guess. It's the better part of starting up a business from the ground up. It's the exciting part. But the main thing I'd probably take away is forecasting. And I underestimated forecasting like crazy. So that's to do with like just inventory and shipping times and logistics and freight and all of that kind of stuff that comes into it. And because you don't forecast properly, you end up not being able to capitalize on as much sales as you want, or you'll unfortunately run out of stock. And we kind of learned them lessons during the beginning of launching the business because we had unprecedented demand for the product and it just kind of came as a massive shock. So as soon as this came in, we had to kind of realize and think, okay, what do I do now? And how do I grow this further? How do I get all the sales coming in? And that's kind of when I started learning that, forecasting is probably the biggest thing in any of these businesses. And that's probably why all the large, huge businesses spend so much time forecasting, not just to stock in inventory, but to make sure that they're ready for any of the big deals or sales that are coming up so they can capitalize and take advantage of it.
Yeah, certainly. That's a great point and definitely something that a lot of new business owners overlook. Do you do anything in terms of marketing for this business?
Other than PPC, I'd say not really. We kind of concentrated on the brand and the R&D at the beginning to make sure the product aesthetically looks really good. And I guess that's an element of marketing itself. But other than PPC, we don't really do any outside kind of external marketing for this product. But I guess that's a good thing for the person who was to buy the business. They could come on board and immediately get a new traffic stream by investing in Instagram or social media or ads and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, a strong brand identity, it's hard to beat that. You touched on this in your previous answer, but if you were to keep the business, what are some of the ways that you would try and grow it further?
There's so many ways, but if I was to narrow it down to like a couple, I'd say the USA. So Amazon in the USA, expand into that market, send more SKUs there and grow the business there, concentrate a bit more on a good PPC strategy. And then Shopify. Like this is a really Shopifyable product, right? A lot of people on social media would love this type of product. You could reach out to micro influencers if you want to really broaden the kind of horizon and get a lot of traffic coming in. You could do some paid ads. You could do some Google ads. You can direct everything to a Shopify store, get an email campaign running, do all ManyChat and Facebook, all these different kind of things that you do on a Shopify store, you could do to generate a massive amount of income. It just means you have to spend time on it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. Nadia, can you walk me through your supply chain? Where are your suppliers based and how does inventory get from the supplier to Amazon warehouses?
Okay, so we have a couple of suppliers in China and a couple in the UK. We have one main one in China and one main in the UK, and we use the others as backups in case the other ones are taking too long on lead times and stuff like that. So when we order something from China, we tend to kind of forecast it in advance, like well in advance. We then send a shipment to the UK via sea freight, and then it's fine distributed, some to our existing suppliers' warehouse in the UK, where they hold the stock and add value to it, where they would put something to the product itself to increase its value as a variation under a certain SKU. And some of the stock we send straight away as soon as it lands here directly to the warehouse. The supplier in China or the UK would label all the products accordingly. We would book the shipment and send them the labels. They would then label everything. And then after that, it's all sorted as soon as it gets checked at the Amazon warehouse. We just monitor everything online.
Great. Yeah, it certainly sounds like a very streamlined process. You mentioned that you started this business over and above your normal day job. Talk to me about what your typical work week looks like with this business. How many hours do you work on it and what sort of tasks take up your time?
So I work 9 to 5, right? Your standard day job, just like you said. After that, I'd go to the gym, do whatever, and then I'll come back home and sit with the family. So whilst I'm sitting with the family after I eat dinner, it's either looking on my phone on Amazon at the next new products that I want to launch, checking out if it's going to do well or not, and then doing a bit more research on the laptop once I've found something that I think could do well. Or it'd be planning inventory. So ordering, just checking out what stock we've got, booking in orders for the next one, making payments. That's about it, to be fair. So yeah, I'd say anywhere between, half an hour to an hour a day, maximum 10 hours a week. I don't see it ever going more than that.
Wonderful. It certainly sounds like a great passive source of income. Do you have any employees that help alleviate some of your workload?
Yes, definitely. We got 2. So I have 2 VAs, one that's solely focused on customer service. She does help every now and then with helping me source new products when she's free. And we have a PPC manager, and he takes control of all of our campaigns on PPC. That's from creating the strategy all the way through to the individual keywords of each category that he's set out. So yeah, we've got a pretty good setup there with 2 VAs.
Fantastic. Yeah, it certainly sounds very streamlined. For someone who's not familiar with the Amazon FBA business model or perhaps this particular niche, What skills or requirements would you say are needed to run this business successfully?
I guess like knowing how to forecast is probably one thing, because you just need to make sure that if you forecast in advance, you can capitalize on the cheapest shipping to reduce your cost of goods and become more profitable. I guess that's the main thing. It's like you said, the business is really streamlined. So it's got to a point where we've built it so it is automatic, because I can't really afford to jeopardize my full-time job to concentrate on this, right? That's kind of where it's going. It's very fluid in that sense, but there's still potential to kind of grow it properly and become more profitable. And I guess one skill that you probably need is knowing how to forecast. And if you can forecast well and you're willing to pay in advance, like not like how I did at the beginning, right? And you make sure you don't run out of stock and you capitalize on the deals and all of that stuff, that would be the main thing. So yeah, definitely knowing how to forecast would be a huge plus.
Yeah, certainly. You sort of touched on this a bit before, but what do you think are the biggest risks with this business that buyers should be aware of?
I'd say keep up to date with Amazon, keep them happy. You know, they make changes, and when they do, it's like a matter of days until they're implemented. So an example is like the inventory limits, right? I think it was like 2020, keep thinking in 2021, right? The inventory limits that came up. And when they came in with the inventory limit, it just made things really hard for us to scale as fast as we wanted to. And that's kind of when the forecasting thing came into play for me. And that's when I really learned how to forecast. And that was because we had a small window of when we could buy products from China, for example, and then forecast accurately for them to then go into the Amazon warehouse on time whilst we're running out of products. But at the same time, Amazon would be able to take them products and we can book the shipment in to take them products, you know, however many units they're going to be, to make sure that we've got capacity to run a deal, because the products would sell out really quickly, right? And I think that's kind of the main thing there. The biggest risk would be the inventory limits. Luckily, we're in 2022 now, right? So our inventory limits have gone through the roof. So it's really easy to scale. But if that happens again, hopefully not, I blame COVID, right? But if that happens again, then you'd need to make sure that we'd be able to really keep on top of the inventory limits and scale as fast as you can whilst keeping Amazon happy and not sending too much stuff in.
Yeah, certainly. That's a fantastic point and definitely something that buyers should be aware of. Obviously, no one knows this business better than you. What sort of support are you willing to offer buyers to help ease the transition?
So email, I'm more than happy to email every day if they need me to help them on text or email. I can give Skype calls, you know, ideally weekly. Don't want to tie myself too much on more calls than it took me to spend on the business, right? But I'm more than happy to do a Skype call a week or however long they need me to do Skype calls for. But, you know, I guess we can talk about it in a bit more detail once we get to the next stages. You know, I'm open to loads of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you open to negotiating something like an earnout?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Obviously, I encourage everyone to bring their best offers, but definitely, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. And would you be willing to commit to a non-compete agreement?
Yes, definitely.
Great. Well, Nadir, do you have any advice that you would give our listeners that you wish you knew when you first started this business?
Start earlier. Start and risk it as soon as you can, because the potential of growth is definitely there. Amazon's a massive marketplace. So for anyone looking to do it and sell on Amazon, I'd highly recommend looking into it and starting as soon as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic advice. So that leads us to the final question of the interview, and probably the most important one, which is, if you had to put yourself into the shoes of a buyer, why do you think your business is a business worth buying?
Exponential growth with a fast return on investment. This is an evergreen niche. So we've built the business to a point where it's able to grow considerably. All you have to do now is expand it into a different marketplace. You've already got great social proof on another marketplace. It'd just be mapping over to a new marketplace. Moving on to Shopify is something that we've never done. We haven't even got social media presence, and we've got thousands and thousands of reviews on our top selling products. So it's already got the social proof there. You've already got the base, the foundations. It's just about scaling it more than it's actually selling right now.
Fantastic. Yeah, it certainly sounds like the business has a whole lot of potential. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners that I might have missed?
I think we've covered everything.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for your time, Nadir. It's been really great talking to you and learning more about your business.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time, Lauren. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 58191. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.